Greetings. I am Dr. Kavita Reti Dharwadkar, Professor and Head, Director Clinical Biochemistry, Sri Aurobindo Medical College, Aurobindo University, Madhya Pradesh, India. Today I am going to emphasize the laboratory's role in the form of laboratories save lives. Indeed, they do. So basically, my whole topic is going to target the healthcare professionals apart from the general population. So let me walk you through this particular condition through a case scenario that we happen to encounter. A 55-year-old male patient consulted duty doctor during a routine field visit with a fasting blood glucose of 90 milligrams per deciliter, ppbs of 110 with a HbA1c of more than 12%. On inquiry, the patient was already on metformin and some other oral hypoglycemic drug trial and error was going on to titrate his HbA1c. The patient informed that in spite of strict treatment and lifestyle modifications, his HbA1c never budged. In fact, it always stayed higher and increasing the drug dose gave him hypoglycemia. Further history revealed that HPLC done for variant analysis showed beta thalassemia trait. I, as director of lab, advised for HB electrophoresis also to be sent along with HbA1c. So if we do a normal person's HB electrophoresis would look something like this, where you can see a HbA and HbA2 peak. If the HbA2 peak increases more than 4, it might indicate beta thalassemia trait. Of course, you have to correlate with the CBC as well. So let's see what was this patient's electrophoresis. So this patient's electrophoretic graph showed us this particular picture where you can see a M-shaped peak. So you can see here the HbA2 is also increased more than 4. It is 6.6%. So what was this patient actually suffering from? This patient had some variant called as HB Hope. It is a silent variant. And in this condition, in the beta globin chain, instead of glycine, there is aspartic acid. And this will give it a mobility very similar to HbA. Let me explain you this more better to know what is the relationship between HbA1c and HB Hope variant. So as you can see over here, the graph of this chromatograph, here you can see that just beside HbA0, you can actually find the HbA1c. Right? And HbA, which has got 3 components, A2, A and F, has a major component of A, which again has A0 and A1. Again, in this A1, after glycation, you have 3 major parts of hemoglobin that elute on the chromatographic graph. Which one we do for diabetic diagnosis is HbA1c, the glycated hemoglobin. So now that we have established they elute nearby, let us see what happens when there is a HB Hope. So when there is HB Hope, the intra-chain salt bridges are formed between the carboxylic group of beta chain of aspartic acid and amino group of beta-1 valine. What will happen? It will neutralize the positive charges in such an extent that both will start eluting in the same region in HPLC column. Secondly, the HPLC works at a pH of 8.6, which will not make it easier for any charge difference. Hence, when you do HbA1c estimation on HPLC method, HB Hope and HbA1c will elute in the same window, leading to an overestimation of HbA1c. But if when we ran it on electrophoresis, capillary electrophoresis at 9.4, they could be differentiated apart. So was the patient beta thalassemia trait now? That is the quest. Yes, they diagnosed it based on the HbA2 being 6.6, which was higher, and hence they called him as suspected of beta thalassemia trait. But was he really? In fact, he was not a beta thalassemia trait as we confirmed. Why did then HbA2 increase? HbA2 increased because of decreased synthesis of abnormal beta globin chain, which allowed increased binding between excess alpha and gamma globin chains. So now we know that whenever there is HB Hope or any of other such variants like Pyrogross, New York, Kodaira, Bangkok, etc., they tend to co-elute in the region of P2, P3 peaks on HPLC and might overestimate HbA1c. So what is the solution for this? We asked him to get an HbA1c on an alternative method like immunoturbidimetry or capillary electrophoresis. When it was done on alternate method, his HbA1c was actually 7. So this further reiterated that when you have some variant interference, the HbA1c could be more than 12%, especially suspected when it is not correlating with FBS, PPBS, or even the treatment history. So, like this, we not only could help this patient get a proper treatment, a proper diagnosis, but also a beta thalassemia trait, which he was labeled, was not actually suffering from beta thalassemia. So, the lab literally saved the overdiagnosis and overtreatment, built the confidence with the clinicians, and clinical lab communication strengthened. I would like to reiterate 4 important points where I can emphasize lab saves lives. 1, it will give proper report with a good advisory comment. 2, it will help in a proper and quick initiation of treatment. 3, it emphasizes and strengthens the clinical lab communication. And 4, it builds trust between patient, clinician, and laboratory. Thank you so much.